We can start concerts with all kinds of artists. And I'm not saying I want to be a part of this beyond the conceptual level. This is a big, giant project that needs big, giant people and names to put this together. I'm throwing out the concept and the idea, because if we do this, then the banks can't get Lahaina Town. Sure. So we raise this money and we do buy back Lahaina. Buy it back from the banks.
It's a good idea. It's a very good idea. This guy's a nice guy. I like this guy. He doesn't seem like an agent.
It to the people, and then they can choose what they want to do with their land. The next thing is obviously the environmental issues that we have here, and they're going to spray down some plastic stuff. What do we know about that stuff? Have they?
The only problem is he's a big Joe Rogan fan. That's the only thing that I don't like about him so far.
They excavated out the soil that's contaminated. Where's the oversight? Where's the third-party independent oversight that's going on here? We just need to know what they're doing, what that plan is, because we have a storm that's possibly coming. We got wind advisories that are possibly on the horizon. What's going to happen? Also, is someone watching the skies here? I've got evidence that I'm not going to share with you on this video, but I've got eyewitness evidence that this could have been some type of, let's put it this way. Is the military monitoring these skies every night? Are we keeping an eye out on Maui for a future firestorm?
You know what? I'm going to make a series to this guy. He's got clouds all behind him in his videos. I didn't see any trailing since the fire, but he's got videos going way back. So let's do that. Let's do that. If I can even upload. I don't know. We'll find out right now, because I'm going to try to upload these 2 videos. But so far I'm blocked on YouTube, so you might just see another post. Both channels might be blocked again. I'll see. Yeah, if I can get back on, I'm going to make a series to this guy, Hawaii Real Estate. His last name is West. I don't know his first name. I don't remember now.
Starter. It could be an arson. We don't know what it is. It could be an accelerant that's on the ground. But those videos that I showed of those cars that are burned in the middle of a small little grass field, we know 2 of those cars had no fuel in them whatsoever. They've been sitting there abandoned for a long, long time. So there's some mysteries here that we're trying to solve, and I'm going to keep bringing you that information, because we're all about filling the gap. And one of the gaps we've had is the communication gap, the information gap. You could call it the truth gap, but then that points to, you know, what you consider truth and what I consider truth. But I'm going to show you with my eyes through this camera what's going on here, and then you decide. I'm going to show you through this camera the stories of the people that survived that day, who lost everything. Those are the stories. Within there is the truth, the facts of what happened. And I'm going to present this to you on this channel. So please, like this video, share it, and subscribe it. You guys have done such a wonderful job. We've gotten the attention of the world. And so, congratulations. That was you doing it. And I thank you for reaching out to Joe Rogan. I heard he's going to have Tulsi Gabbard on the show. And anyway, that's huge, right? So that's awesome. We're bringing attention to this thing, and that's what's super important. Got a bug flying around here. So, air protection, I think, is very important. So I'm throwing ideas out there. I want you to please take notes. This is a business meeting. We need to get organized, right? We're not going to beat this thing if we're not organized.
I think it's going to be Tulsi Gabbard on the ticket with Trump. I really think that's what they're going to do, because Trump needs somebody with her personality, her qualities to finish things off, to grab, you know, a lot more people. He'll pick them up with her as someone who's so level-headed and all that. I've been having that funny feeling for a long time now. Just want to mention it in case it happens.
And people have to come together. That's why I've been calling for Starlinks. Thank you. We have 7 of those delivered today. 2 more went out in the field. It's important that everyone out there has good internet connection. Just to fill out the forms with FEMA and the Red Cross. It doesn't need to be done on a laptop. But I have called this out before. We need a council. We need a council to come together and to get organized with a strategy, with an emergency strategy. That council needs to include key members of the community, but it also needs to include bankers. It needs to include attorneys, realtors, tax consultants, title reps, and then key individuals from the island. So I'm calling out Archie Kalepa.
So, you know, this is a video that I did on the moon that I'm not able to upload yet. I've been trying for a couple of days now, since yesterday morning, and it's not going up.
Kiara Lawrence, Kai Lenny, Slater Trout, Zane and Maddie
So what I'm doing now is I'm remastering the whole thing again with different soundtrack.
Schweitzer. Um, there's a few other names here I'm not going to call out, but those are the big ones. Archie Kalepa, Tiara Lawrence, Kyle Lenny, Slater Trout, Zane and Maddie Schweitzer. Because these individuals can start the basis of this council, and there's resources that have come over from Oahu already that are asking me to shout out these individuals. All these voices that are talking on Maui need to come together. We need to start doing town halls. We need to start calling for people to be released from their positions and be held accountable. The people need to know their rights. The people need to know the Constitution. Pull out your Constitution, Google it, read it. You have the right to speech, you have the right to press, you have the right to assemble, you have the right to bear arms, you have the right to petition. You need to know these basic constitutional rights, and it's the sheriff that is to enforce those rights. We as a people need to stand up. I believe what's happening here is not just a wake-up call for the people of Maui. It's a wake-up call for the people of Hawaii. It's a wake-up call for the people of this country. It's a wake-up call for the people of the world to come together and fight whatever this is. Who is it? I don't know. I've got some theories, but I'm not here to present my personal hypothetical theories on what's going on. You might have your theory. Hit me in the comments. I know you guys are all texting me 1,000 times a day telling me, watch this website, go to this video, this is my theory. Okay, action. Take it to the people that have got true influential power. I'm just one voice. I'm just one really little real estate agent on Maui sharing ideas. Now you guys got to run with it. I need the digital warriors to get to work till your thumbs and your fingers are bleeding. You're putting out this information, because together as a people, we can activate and take back what's ours, and we can start with this beautiful little piece of paradise. If you won't fight for Lahaina, if you won't fight for we calculated it. Every year, 6,000 people come here a day, 2 million people a year. In 20 years, that's 40 million people that have come to this island, that have memories here, that have gotten married here, honeymooned here, made kids here, celebrated birthdays, and
This is the thing, though. Everyone is falling on their sword. I've been saying this for a while. They all have to fall on their sword. City by city, town by town, country by country. Everyone's falling on their sword. Business by business, conglomerate by conglomerate. Of course, the large conglomerates don't care about closing down. They can take any hits. They're multi-trillionaires and billionaires. It don't matter to them. But all the small mom and pop places that got shut down throughout the Lion Mama Kona 19, and then now the Lion Mama Kona 19 is here forever now, because they're going to keep playing that. But that's what they're doing with Hawaii, same thing. Yeah, it's a land grab. Yeah, it's a lot of things. Yes, it was probably a hit, judging by the way the burn marks are and the burn. But this is the same shit we've been going through all along. They brought us, in Massachusetts, they brought us some tornadoes. Now, the tornadoes, when I was growing up, never could make it over the mountains. That's what we were always told. We were always safe living where we live because we're surrounded by mountains, and the tornadoes could never make it in. But they started doing these test runs of these wind bursts, we call them, and they're electromagnetic pulse waves, and they send pulses, and like if you look it up, I'm sure you can find it. The side of the East Hampton Mountain in East Hampton, Massachusetts, the trees all the way down, cut like a fucking knife, a couple 100 feet probably, all the way down the mountain, 200 feet wide. I'm saying, all the way down the mountain, you see the trees, and it's a big mountain. I mean, 2,500 foot or something like that. So it was pretty cool to look at, because you say, come on, man, that's nothing. This ain't no fucking nothing natural that did that, Nothing that we know of as nature is going to do that. And then it was funny, too, because the way the trees, because they all fell in one direction all the way down the mountain. That means the wind was coming down the mountain as well, and keeping its strength, and the trees, and the knife look to it, because they were so perfectly pushed over. It was like it was purposely done. So when I started out 6 years ago, it was with Jamie Lee from A Plain Truth doing the same thing that this guy West is doing from Hawaii Real Estate. He's doing the same thing. And then I ended up calling Jamie out by the end of that series, and I created what was called the Homeless Patent Project. it's funny too because in these conspiracies they throw in a lot of crazy shit that they're waiting for everyone to bite onto as distractions. And all the way back to Katrina, you can remember the ones that they said all the homeless people were being found with gunshot wounds to the head. Well, they're saying the same thing now in Hawaii, which is probably not true. There's no evidence of that or anything like that. But something went down, and it has to be looked at what is really going down, and you got to sidestep all the conspiracy shit. Yes, you can mention them that it's mentioned, and then you have to say there's no evidence for it. So if there's no real evidence for it, no one has pictures. No one. I mean, there's video and pictures of everything else. So why don't they have videos or recording of somebody saying, "Hey, get out of here! You can't look at these dead bodies that we all have bullet wounds in their head or something." There's not even. So the conspiracy doesn't have to be anything major. They just put it out there, and these are put out by agents all over YouTube. So you feel bad for this guy West because he's a real person, and he's got agents accusing him of being an agent or accusing him of being a bad guy, and he doesn't seem like it, not so far. But Jamie Lee from A Plain Truth too, he might have been an alright guy too. I came down on him in the end because he was just talking so much conspiracy nonsense that, I mean, it was almost like it was purposeful. He was purposely talking really fucking nuts about shit, really. But I learned a lot from watching him, about what was actually happening, and all the things that I found today stem from things that he was saying, and I was proving him to be wrong and proving him to be a liar and confirming it to myself that what I was seeing was the reality. So in that sense, I guess I needed him. So
Anniversaries and come here after a good year on the job. This is your spot. Hawaii is your spot, and you know it. It's on U.S. soil. If you won't protect U.S. soil, it's one thing I always told myself. I was raised by a military father, and I tried to join the military. My sister taught at the Air Force Academy. She taught leadership at the Air Force Academy. Stephanie, my dad, Sheridan. I worked at TRW. I was in the defense contracting business. In the early part of my career, I've had security clearances with the NSA. You can't even tell what their names are. That's where I came from early on in my career. But I was taught, man, you fight for your country, man. You fight for your country. Now, you might go send off to some war that you know nothing about. Okay, that's debatable. But when it shows up on your soil, when it shows up on your shores, man, if you won't fight for that, then it's time to tuck tail and run to Canada, all right? But if you're an American, you fight for your country. Period. Any way that you can. Every way that you can. Period. There's no choice. This is U.S. soil. This is where Pearl Harbor happened.
see, now he's emotional about Pearl Harbor, but does he realize now, being someone that's heavy in military, I have a lot of friends, same thing. They teach their kids what they learned. There's a lot of people that I really like a lot, but they've been programmed to think that these wars were just, and when everybody's sitting around the table telling war stories, the kids that are overhearing it and listening are looking up to these men as heroes, and these men have no look at themselves of what they just went along with. Kind of just like the police that would stand outside a classroom door and for an hour and a half or whatever and listen to humans being shot down in the next room and not going in, having over 100 guns that they could just pound the door down and take the guy out, and they don't do it. Shit like that, right? So it just seems unfathomable. Blocking off streets and exits, and shutting off water, and being the part of the cause of a huge fire and loss of life. Probably, who knows? That's another thing. The conspiracy is that it's in thousands. Now, the conspiracy side of all that comes from government agencies. That's where the conspiracy shit comes from. But people on the ground, like this guy here west, he's not hearing. He's asking people on the ground, and anyone who's lost anyone, they know who they lost. They're not missing anyone. You can't find anybody that's missing children or anything like that. But yet they're still putting the fear into everybody, and I mean, so they're running it from all angles because they want people to go along with the conspiracy nonsense, you know? Hold on a minute.
This is soil that was bought by the blood of Americans. And we can't forget that. We'll never forget that. I will never forget that. We live under the privilege of this country because of men that died for us, that did what they were supposed to do, that answered the call, that gave up everything for a reason, for a belief in a system of democracy and a system of a way that provides freedom and opportunity.
Yeah, they were programmed, just like we're programmed to believe in all this shit. Going somewhere else, and I mean, I'm kind of glad that he's talking about this because this is the usual scum shit that humans have been doing all along. I mean, go in and a land grab. I mean, come on. Been doing, where did fucking Hawaii come from in the first place? A land grab. It's always a land grab. So to pretend like it's just something new now and this is just only happening now, this is really weird. We're gonna get into this, doing a series to these guys. I hope my channels better fucking still be up.
They had to die for it, and they did. So to honor that, and to honor the children that have died in this town, that they still can't account for, to honor the parents, the kapuna. It's so heavy. It's so heavy.
Yeah, this is the same shit that I was saying under the Candace Owens series. It's human sacrifice. So we have these human sacrifices, usually of children, and we've been doing this all along. Today, we don't consider it sacrifice. But look at the fucking food that we feed ourselves. Look at what we're eating. Look at what we're drinking. Look at the air that we're breathing. Everybody, including this guy West, all ignore the fucking Mineral Street projects that are being dumped on us. And then they're surprised, gee, how does this kind of weaponry work? Wouldn't the air would have to be filled with aluminum particles in order for a weapon like that to work properly? Yeah, actually it would. You fucking zombie motherfuckers. Unbelievable, man. It's like this all the time. It's always like this.
And everyone reacts differently under these situations.
So, Pearl Harbor, he's upset about Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was a fuck job. So yes, people really died, but not as many as could have if it was a real something. They had plenty of fucking notice. They all had notice. It was a purposeful, put your arms down and take it so that we can try out this other weapon because it's an agreement they all have with each other, the leaders at the top. But we are all responsible for it because we know it. This shit's just so ridiculous. You can't keep continuing to. What, you don't believe that they would shut the water off, that they would have the water down during a major fucking fight? You don't believe that the 60 mile an hour winds, which is pretty mild, that's like storm winds, that's not even hurricane winds. So 60 mile an hour winds were supposed to push this fire so fast into town that was the reasoning. The death count way higher than it should have been. Even one loss would have been too much, but you can see fires like that if done properly, if the alarms went off and the water was available, and if the water from the pipes wasn't available. I mean, you live on the fucking ocean. You could just simply throw pumps in the water, which should have already been done. The Navy could have been over there. They got several ships that they're right there. What the hell's the point of having them there? I mean, they got to ride 500 miles, 1,000 miles to get to the mainland, but right there, 2 miles away. It makes no fucking sense, man. Makes no fucking sense. It was obvious. It was obvious. And they always make it obvious like this. And everybody goes along with it. 7.8 billion zombie slaves. You went along with it at Pearl Harbor, but now in Hawaii, I'm talking to you, West, I gotta find out his first name.
And I know that. And I'm reacting the way I'm reacting. And I'm putting myself out there. I'm risking my family's everything. But it's worth it.
Those people that are bugging you, they're federal agents. those are federal agencies. Whether they admit that they are or not, they are. They're always affiliated somehow with those guys. And they run robots. They have hundreds of robots. They can always be harassing you, and they do. And then when you put your phone number out and other information on the internet, they're the first ones to grab it. And then a lot of them will play on your empathy and your sympathy as well. They'll work together. You'll notice that several of them will be saying similar things in a similar language, and they'll say something that they shouldn't even know, and you only said it to one other person, and it was someone else that you're dealing with online, and then you realize, oh my God, they're all working together. And one's playing off that he's an asshole, the other one's playing off she's a saint, and that kind of thing, you know. And the one wants to help you, and the other one's saying you're a bad guy. They do this all the time. They're agencies. They're not even real people, usually.
Because our country's worth it. Our state is worth it. Our island is worth it. Our town is worth it. It's worth it. It's worth the risk. It's worth it. And if people don't realize that the way we got to where we are in this country is because of individual sacrifice, individual bravery. That's how we got here. And if the sleeping giant doesn't wake up, and who's the sleeping giant? It's that silent majority. It's the loud minority that's disturbing the whole process, and we're allowing it to happen. So I'm talking to the giant, and I'm asking the giant to wake up. It's all about filling gaps, and we have a gap in our country of what we know to do and what we do. And we can fill that gap with bravery. As Kai Lenny says, breaking through that veil of fear. And I believe it starts with praying to God and then being obedient to what he tells you to do. It's real simple, man. It's just so simple. We have to do it. And now if this wasn't a call to action, I mean, what's going on here? If this isn't a call to action, I mean, I don't know what is. What's it going to take? You go into that town, it looks like a nuclear bomb went off. I'm not saying a nuclear bomb went off, but it is complete destruction. It doesn't get more destroyed on U.S. soil. And I'm telling you, we need air surveillance over this island right now. Okay, what else do I have? Buy back Lahaina, we talked about that. Bring in the council of community and professionals. You're going to need professionals to teach you. Title reps. There's a lot of confusion out there. There's a lot of scammers, a lot of people with a lot of nonsense. You need professionals that have proven integrity. I don't want to forget anything. So, I think I've said everything I want to say. I'm going to end with this. I prayed over the town of Lahaina, not because I'm a minister or a pastor, but I just felt like the right thing to do. Standing over that destruction, and just laying my hands, putting my hands, and just praying over the city and the town and the people and those lost. And the prayer that came to my mind, and the one that I put in front of the videos, and the song that I played is an honor. And the upside down Hawaiian flag is like, it's a message. It's just a message. It just says, you know what? We need to honor the people that died. We need to honor the culture, the deep, rich cultural history of this place, the Hawaiian people. That is at the forefront of what needs to be acknowledged and done. Period. That's first. We need a day of mourning. We need a coming together of the community.
I know. You know, the thing is that to me, I mean, I'm very sympathetic to all this, and of course, I don't want to think about anybody dying like this in a fire. It's just as bad as a drowning, or you know, certain deaths are really, really terrible, and it's just a bad one. Being disintegrated by a pulse wave, probably not any better. And then some of the people that were dying of heat inhalation, in other words, inhaling the heat, burns your lungs. It's like a dirty bomb type thing, you know, when the fire's like that from the chemicals and shit like that, and the smoke. So when you hear some of the stories of what people were watching and what they seen, and people on the ground there that were going through it. It was really terrible shit. But we've been watching this happen over and over and over and over again, and everyone keeps ignoring it. The mineral streets is the answer to all of these things. A lot of these things can all be answered by looking at the mineral streets, and 7.8 billion zombies still refuse to do so. Everybody, Joe Rogan, this guy West, John Campbell, Neil Oliver Anthony, all the people that I called out, Jordan Peterson, Tucker Carlson, all of them. They got videos of themselves with the mineral streets above their heads, all in back of them. I could go through them all, and we could find them, except for maybe the ones that never leave their chair. That all their videos are done in their chair, but that's okay, because even like Joe Rogan, we can go back to when he was doing television, and we can see the trails behind his head when he's doing his stupid TV shows and shit. So he knew they were there. That was way back, right? But he was in California at that time, and it's all over the fucking place, so you can't miss it. So why was Joe Rogan Mr. All the truth? You know what I mean? They're all full of shit. All sides are full of shit. Even our own sides, because we have all been programmed. So stepping out of that box, and so here he is, he's bringing up about the people of Hawaii and the people of that area. But the people of that area already stole that land already, most of them, many, many years ago. The part of the population that are truly Hawaiian is a very small amount. That girl, Squirrel Vi, was saying 20%, 23% of the entire island, the Hawaiian Islands, is still real, true Hawaiian. It was more Filipino and Japanese, actually, cultures that are there now, along with a mixture of a lot of other races, including white Americans and other colored Americans and nationality, people from America. But I mean, that just says something, doesn't it? I mean, because we were not here back in 1948 when they had a major change, because we were not born, or we were too young to know anything about it. Were those other times that the islands were taken over, the Hawaiian Islands, by the United States, were they just as aggressive as, the death, I should say, of hundreds of people, possibly thousands of people? We still don't know, probably never will, because they'll put out all these fake-ass conspiracy theories. I mean, you go with the simple numbers of how many kids were enrolled in school. 3,000 were supposed to be enrolled in school, so we're told. We don't know for sure, but that's what we're told on the internet newscasters, the real news, supposedly. And then, or is it purposeful manipulation to, pull at our heartstrings, get us going down false roads, get us believing in false realities and that kind of thing? And then you feel so bad and you go along with it, and it creates anger, because you're pissed. You're like, you got to be kidding me. So 600 are now enrolled today after everything was done, and 3,000 were supposed to be going to school the next day because the day of the fires, that's another thing turned out to be a lie, was that the school was canceled that day. No, school wasn't canceled that day. School wasn't due to start that day for most of the kids. Some of them were due to go back that day, and some were not. But they also had power outages everywhere, which might have had something to do with some places calling and canceling school. But then they also had phone shutdowns, where nobody's cell phone was working earlier, before the fire. They were already having internet interruptions and other shit like that, with no real reason, really, because the winds were not even strong enough to cause any problems like that at the time.
We need to cry. We need to weep over what's happened. We need that time. And you can't just put lip service to it. You've got to do it. That's the right thing to do. But a scripture came to me that I put in front of those videos. And by the way, the 6 shirts, the 5 shirts, how many shirts there are that I pulled out of that store that I believe has got evidence that people are calling me from all around the world. Sorry, the gimbal ran out of battery. I have reached out to the owner of those shirts, and I have offered him to do whatever it is he wants to do with those shirts. So it's not looting if you take something and your intention is to give it back. And also, I believe it's obviously evidence that it probably didn't get bagged at the scene of the crime, and we can't even get in there. So as citizens, we do have the rights to do certain things that we think are in the best interest of our fellow citizens.
That's right.
And to judge otherwise, if you don't have all the information, I know it's tough. But let's remember, there's only one judge. Judge, God. That's it, period. So let's not judge each other. Let's give each other grace. But this is the prayer that I prayed over in those videos, and I'd like to just pray it again right now, and that is Isaiah 61. I believe this is the first scripture that Jesus read when he got up on the pulpit.
Okay, I'm gonna do this, but I don't really like doing it. Is the video still going? Yeah.
But the part that I want to pull out of Isaiah 61, I think you should go pull it out yourself and read the whole thing. But I just want to end this live. I'm usually live. End this video with this. To give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. That is the prayer that I have for the people of Lahaina, for the island of Maui.
I am a business owner out of Lahaina, Maui. My name is Josh Hammond, and I am an owner of Automatic Sport Fishing.
The Coast Guard says they counted about 49 sunken vessels in Lahaina Harbor.
Our business was lost. We had 7 employees, plus my business partner John Keeley, and I would be 9. And to us, it was a dream. Out of COVID, we were given an opportunity to buy a slip in Lahaina Harbor. So we did that. We started with 1 boat, and business was great. We worked hard. We started building our business. We were able to start a 2nd boat and grow our business, and we ended up getting up to 7 employees. We've worked with a lot of these guys in the harbor. They've been here a long time. They mean a lot to us. Their families, their livelihoods mean a lot to us.
Analysts say the deadly fires could have an astronomical economic impact on the island, likely to cause a severe local recession.
Hotels are starting to lay off people, restaurants are laying off. Now it's going to become the worst economic crisis that we've ever seen, including pandemic.
Getting our business back on its feet would help out the economy.
But again, this is all about everyone throwing themselves on their swords, including Hawaii. It's going to be every state. We're going state by state by state. I was just mentioning, and I don't know if it already broke into the next video or not yet, but I was talking about when they sent Massachusetts the tornadoes, and they did some trial runs, blew down the side of East Hampton Mountain, cut like a knife all the way down the mountain, 2,500, 1,800 feet up. But then soon after they were doing those, they brought us some really decent tornadoes, which actually caused some deaths. I don't remember how many, but it was pretty good. That took out months in Massachusetts, took out a good portion of the town. And it was all very suspicious, the way the whole thing happened, the way they came in. And then we started getting tornadoes, and then now we also are on tornado watch. I mean, why? Hundreds of years, never had to worry about tornado. And then what are they going to blame it on? Climate change? And then they tell you about climate change, and then again, nobody looks above their heads. Nobody looks at the Mineral Street projects and talks about, when we talk about fucking climate change, we can see why we've got, it's not even climate change, but we can see why we have, because the Mineral Street project is all about that. It's about controlling the weather. And then people think that weather comes from nature, and it's a natural thing from nature. They have no idea. They want to be zombie slaves. They don't want to go look for themselves, because if they do, they're gonna, there's nothing scary about it. I mean, just seeing things for what they are, there's nothing scary about it. I mean, we're looking at the moon right now, and even though it's not transferring very well, I can still see it. So the point of my videos is to show you how to go look for yourselves, and I only need to show you enough to say, I'm gonna go look for myself. So I don't have to. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm gonna keep letting it roll. Hopefully these videos will upload. I have to go on to the next series because Oliver Anthony's series is obviously I'm shut down from that. We'll see if I'm locked out of my channels or not when I go to upload. This is a real fuck show though. It really is. And then everybody acting so surprised and everything like that. I mean,
Maui's economy is hugely solely reliant on tourism. We need tourism here. We are not closed down. If we can get, that's the thing is, I don't know how long it's going to take for them to even allow us to do business. We're going to do our best to work with officials to let us do some sort of temporary operation where we can operate off a mooring and tender a boat in to pick up our guests. But in the big picture, bringing tourism back here is the biggest thing you guys can do to help us. Coming back to Maui, spending money here, enjoying yourself here. Most of the island is still open. We're going to do everything we can to find solutions so we can start operating again. So we can bring back that part of the economy. We basically fish out of Lahaina Harbor. We're more than a sport fishing company. We do sport fish, but we also do supply a lot of fish to the west side of Maui. It's a big part of our income, and it's also a big part of the economy as far as fish here. We do our best not to import fish to Maui. So local fishermen have a huge part in the economy here and bringing fish to the island. It's very important, and that's a big part of our business as well.
What about bridging the gap of your company in itself?
The struggle we're facing right now with our company is there's going to be a huge gap financially to restart. And what that means to us is the insurance policies that we have in place are not adequate for what it's going to take to rebuild. It's going to take a lot to rebuild just our business. We need to raise funds to help us with that. So our options right now are we're going to get a little bit of insurance money that maybe help with 20% of the rebuild, and then they basically are going to force you into doing an SBA loan. An SBA loan does not help the problem. It's just a Band-Aid. It's just going to put us in more debt. So we are trying and seeking and asking to break that gap. So we're trying to fill that gap and raise a little bit of funds to help us restart, so we can bring back that part of the economy. Sport fishing out of Lahaina, and also commercial fishing, supplying restaurants with fresh fish here on the west side.
yeah, all those licenses are going to be taken away from you anyways. All those fishing licenses and all the fishing rights and everything. The little guy's all going to be gone now anyway. So for you to be asking people for help to do that, you're going to have to face reality. This is the fuck show. This is the way it goes. And they're doing exactly what they've been doing. So, yeah, it's an ongoing thing. But as far as the fishing rights go and all that kind of stuff, they don't want to do that. That's bad for the climate, they're going to tell you. And they don't want it anymore. So all these, it's going to be harder to get licenses, and everything's going to be more, too expensive. Not just more expensive, but too expensive for the average person to run. It's all going to be run by these conglomerate fishing boats and shit like that. The ones that are really, truly bad for the environment.
Another huge part of our business is and our family is our crew. We do have 7 employees. They've worked with us. They've been loyal to us from the start, and it's very important to us to keep them here on Maui and give them some sort of income during this time. We don't know how long this is going to take. It could take 1, 2, 3 years to restart. We don't know how long it's going to be for them to allow us to start working again. So we definitely are going to try to come up with some sort of funding that we can spread out the love to our crew and their families, and give them a little bit to help them out while they're going through the same thing. Several of them lost their places that they were living, and they all lost their income. So please and thank you. This is going to help us as much as we need to restart. And yeah, thank you.
Following Hurricane Idalia, leaders in Indian Rocks Beach say the beach erosion there has gone from bad to worse. Take a look at this right here. The storm wiped out so much sand that the city has closed 14 of its 28 beach access points as crews work on repairs. This morning, the mayor and city commissioner Cookie Kennedy pushed for beach renourishment projects to move forward. They're on hold right now because the Army Corps of Engineers requires property owners to sign easements, which some don't want to do.
We are gravely concerned with the damage that occurred from Hurricane Idalia. We ask the Army Corps to reverse their decision made concerning the coastal communities in Pinellas County and renourish our beaches.
City leaders say the financial hit is at least $600,000. They're working with the county on solutions to reopen those beach access points.
Residents of some small coastal towns have returned to ruins, though others consider themselves pretty lucky to find themselves their homes still standing.
Yeah, in fact, this morning one person in Georgia did die, and there were 2 traffic deaths in Florida that are being investigated as possible.
Following Hurricane Idalia, leaders in India.
Yeah.
Since the first fire, it's already done. You guys should be okay. Just call me when you guys go to the show. So, not even 15 minutes, I think. My son called me back about.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say again, since I don't know, maybe I won't start a series to this guy, but to you, West, don't put that fucking music on when people are talking like this. That's fucking stupid.
Everything is going in the house, the ashes and everything. I said, shut all the front door, windows, open the backside. Just stay put and watch the fires. But because the wind is too strong and bring everything, ashes and stuff inside the house. And then just wait. So he said, okay, Mom, we're doing that. So he shut, I guess they did what I did, bindled, and not full.
And stop putting everybody on display like this. You got everybody up in the chairs with the camera aimed at them. Just put the camera around the table or shoot around the table yourself or something like that. This doesn't look natural. It doesn't feel natural, and it's making me suspicious. And I don't think that I should be suspicious of you really at this point, because you seem like a good person. But that's the kind of shit Jordan Peterson pulls with the fucking soft music and the sympathy music and all that crap. That's fucking stupid. And then here you have a real situation going on here. Take advantage of that real situation and give us some reality. Instead, we got set up everybody like a stage, so they all sit up there. I mean, yeah, it don't have to be done that way. Just sit around the table so everybody don't have to be self-conscious. While the mother's talking, you got 4 or 5 kids all looking around the room at everything but the camera, because no one really wants to be on camera in the first place. First of all, the camera is stealing your fucking soul anyway, if you want to look at it that way. But which is more of a reality than most of the other shit that we got going on here. Drop the music, stop this fake shit. You have a real situation, and don't try to be entertaining about it. Just quality, reality.
4 o'clock. I'm still working. He called back. I said, son, now what? He said, Mom, the house is turned orange. I said, son, what the hell are you guys still doing there? Get the hell out of the house. Get the hell out of the house, please. I said, okay, Mom. He ran and got the... I said, where's your father? They said, your dad, my dad is outside. I said, please tell Dad, you guys need to get out of the house now. So my son said, okay, Mom.